Welcome to video 3, our third and final video. So let's look at the objective for this video. You should be able to describe the different HRM issues and practices associated with various directional strategies. According to Porter, competitive advantage stems from a company's being able to create value in its production process. Value can be created in one of two ways. First, it can be created by reducing cost. Second, it can be created by differentiating a product or service in such a way that it allows the company to charge a premium price relative to its competitors. So the overall cost leadership strategy focuses on becoming the lowest cost producer in an industry. This strategy is achieved by constructing efficient large-scale facilities by reducing costs through capitalizing on the experience curve, and by controlling overhead costs and costs in such areas like service and R&D, which is research and development, sales force, and advertising. So these are some of the overhead costs and in some of those areas. And this strategy provides above average returns within an industry, and it tends to bar other organizations' entry into the industry because the firm can lower its prices below competitors' cost. When we're looking at differentiation and the strategy that goes into that, it attempts to create the impression that the company's product or service is different from that of others in the industry. The perceived differentiation can come from creating a brand image, from technology, from offering unique features, or from unique customer service. And if a company succeeds in differentiating its product, it will achieve above average returns, and the differentiation may protect it from price sensitivity. When we're looking at HRM needs in strategic types, we focus on role behaviors. And those are the behaviors that are required of an individual in their respective role as a job holder in a social work environment. And these role behaviors vary on a number of dimensions. Additionally, different role behaviors are required, by the different strategies that the organization implements. Companies engaged in cost strategies because of the focus on efficient production tend to specifically define the skills they require and invest in training employees in these skill areas. They also rely on behavioral performance management systems with a large performance-based compensation component. These companies promote internally and develop internally consistent pay systems with high pay differentials between superiors and subordinates. They seek efficiency through worker participation, soliciting employees' ideas on how to achieve more efficient production. Employees in companies with a differentiation strategy need to be highly creative and cooperative to have only a moderate concern for quantity, a long-term focus, and a tolerance for ambiguity. And they need to be risk takers. Differentiation companies will seek to generate more creativity through broadly defined jobs with general job descriptions. Companies have used 4 possible categories of directional strategies to meet objectives. The first is strategies emphasizing market share or operating costs are considered concentration strategies. With this type of strategy, a company attempts to focus on what it does best within its established markets and can be thought of as sticking to its knitting, as some people like to call it. Second, strategies focusing on market development, product development, innovation, or joint ventures can make up what we call the internal growth strategy. Companies with an internal growth strategy channel their resources toward building on existing strengths. Those attempting to integrate vertically or horizontally or to diversify are exhibiting an external growth strategy, usually through mergers or acquisitions. And this strategy attempts to expand a company's resources or to strengthen its market position through acquiring or creating new businesses. We see this with the Facebooks and the the Yahoo and all the other you're seeing these, right? The acquisitions by these different companies, the mergers of these companies is for these reasons right here. And then finally, a divestment or downsizing strategy is one made up of retrenchment and divestitures or liquidation. And these strategies are observed among companies that are facing serious economic difficulties and seeking to pare down their operations. We're seeing that with we saw it with Toys R Us and how they downsized. Well, first they led people to believe that they were going out of business, but what they did was they just reformulated and reconfigured themselves, came back, repackaged a different way, smaller square footage, going from 30,000 plus down to 10,000. But of course, with the pandemic, they had to then downsize even more. So we see this happening in companies of all sizes. With concentration strategy, it's focused on increasing market share, reducing cost, or creating and maintaining a market niche for products and services. So you can see there may be a need for skill-based training and fair compensation, and appraisals are more behavioral. And behaviors are established through extensive experience in the concentration strategy. With internal growth strategies, your focus is on new market and product development, innovation, and joint ventures. We're looking at constantly hiring, transferring, promoting individuals. Compensation is weighted towards achievement, and JVs require conflict resolution. We've talked about mergers and acquisitions, and in addition to the desirability of HR management playing a role in evaluating a merger opportunity, which is important, HRM certainly has a role in the actual implementation of a merger or acquisition. When we don't see that, that's a huge problem. Training and conflict resolution is also necessary when companies engage in an external growth strategy. All the options for external growth consist of acquiring or developing new businesses, and these businesses often have distinct cultures. That's why many HRM programs face problems in integrating and standardizing practices across the company's businesses, because you never took in consideration that your company's culture may vastly differ the culture of the organization that you are merging with or acquiring. When we're looking at the planned elimination of large numbers of personnel designed to enhance your effectiveness as an organization, that's our downsizing. And the dynamic economic conditions require organizations to constantly churn their workforces. And that means that one important question that an organization is facing and has to ask themselves or answer is, how can we develop a reputation as an employer of choice and engage employees to the goals of the firm while laying off a significant portion of our workforce? How organizations answer this question will determine how they can compete by meeting the stakeholder needs of their employees. You're looking at survivor morale issues, right? People that survive the layoff, they're still working. What happens to their morale? It's taking a tank. They're wondering if they're going to be next on the chopping block. There's so many things that come into play. We see that usually early retirement programs are a result in rehiring, right? We're seeing so many different things that can come into play as a disadvantage to downsizing. And really quick, although it says the trend has slowed since 2008, it has, but with the pandemic, we see that there's a spike in it. So it will, of course, recalibrate once everything is in a new normal. But, this is something that over time, since 2008 until the 20s, it had been slowing down. Now, figure 2.11 is looking at layoff events and separations between the years of 2009 and 2013. And the number of organizations undergoing downsizing increased significantly from the third to the fourth quarter of 2008. And although the trend had slowed down, and we've seen that layoffs are still significant, as you can see just even at 2013. And here we are years past that. We know that layoffs are still significant. In fact, some of the layoffs that we see in this chart were due to outright just bankruptcies because organizations didn't have sustainable business models. And this is what triggered. There's also some advantages, of course. In spite of the challenges, there are some opportunities for HR management and the role that can effectively manage the process in a way that makes it the value of HR management definitely undeniable. You can allow the company to get rid of dead wood, so to speak, and make way for fresh ideas where you have people that are like, well, this is the way we've always done it. Yeah, but it may not be the best way. So this is a way of being able to prune the garden. And it's an opportunity to change the culture of the organization and demonstrate to top management the value of HR to the success of the organization. In this process, we see emergent strategies appear as well as critical nature of human resources in as a competitive advantage. And you can see you're having to constantly monitor effectiveness of both the strategy and implementation process and identify problems and either reverse the existing structures and strategies or devise new ones. When we're looking at emergent strategies, human resources can provide a strategic competitive advantage in two ways: through emergent strategies and through enhancing competitiveness. And a distinction between intended and emergent strategies has important implications for HR management. The new focus on strategic HR management has tended to focus primarily on intended strategies. Thus, the HRM's role has been such as identifying for top management the people related business issues relevant to strategy formulation and then developing HR management systems that aid in the implementation of the strategic plan. For emergent strategies, HRM plays an important role by facilitating communication throughout the organization. And it is this communication that allows for effective emergent strategies to make their way up to top management. When we're looking at enhancing your organization's competitiveness, recently managers have become interested in the idea of learning organizations and where people can continually expand their capacity to achieve the results they desire. And this requires your organization to be in a constant state of learning through monitoring the environment, assimilating information, making decisions, and flexibility restructuring to compete in that environment. And so companies that develop such learning capability have a competitive advantage. Although certain organizational information processing systems can be an aid, ultimately, the people, your human capital, those are the ones who make the company provide the raw materials in a learning organization. And so the role of human resources in competitive advantage should continue to increase because of the fast-paced change characterizing today's business environment. And with that, we have reached the end of our third and final video. So, I did not mean to click on that. If you all have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and let me know. And I am just clicking on everything, aren't I? There we go, video 3. If you have any questions, just email me and I will follow up with you. Thank you. Have a great day.